Welcome, everybody, to another live recording of the Business Travel 360 Linking the Travel Industry podcast, where we discuss travel industry news you're talking about on LinkedIn. My name is Rian, and I'm one of your hosts today. I'm a co-founder at Agility, a travel data platform with a vision to enable travel sellers and buyers to be truly data-driven businesses. So if that's something you find of interest, please get in touch with me. As usual, I'm joined by Anne and Ash. Over to you, Anne.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Anne. I'm an independent consultant with LeapShift and happy to help you with anything related to distribution, such as airline retailing, one order, NDC, and much more. Over to you, Ash.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ash. I'm the host of a weekly business travel podcast called What's Up in Business Travel, where we give you only the important updates in under 15 minutes. Additionally, I'm the vice president at Traxo, and this is Linking the Travel Industry.
So thank you for joining us on a Easter Monday. If you have celebrated Easter, we hope that you have enjoyed the holidays, though it is with great sadness that we learned about the death of Pope Francis today. Very sad news indeed. But again, thank you for giving us your time on the Easter Monday. So the format of this discussion, if you are new to the event, is a list of stories which we picked up on last week, and then we just go over them again in a bit more detail. We're going to start with not new news, but just the confirmation of an event that was agreed last year. This was between Ryanair and Expedia, that the Expedia group of portals will be displaying the Ryan content on the various portals. That's gone live last week, and that was just confirmation of that. So, good that they followed through. Ash, this is just seeing it through, right? This is what we wanted them to do.
We did, though I'm not sure what real value it's going to give anybody, considering that if people really want to do searches, they can always go on Google Flights. Yeah. And those that fly Ryanair will just go on Ryanair.com. So while this may sound great from a press release perspective, I'm not really sure if it has much impact to the regular consumers who fly Ryanair.
There might, though, be folk who wouldn't have thought about Ryanair or might not know about them, searching for that routing and then suddenly find that they can fly Ryanair. I think because they fly between surprising points, right? Points that you would never have considered and as an option. As far as I'm concerned, more footprint for them in a controlled fashion, the better. I mean, it just gives them more visibility elsewhere. And I'm sure they got a good deal there. Cool.
It reminds me of Southwest about 25 years ago when it came in the U.S. market. So same thing. I'm not getting all excited about it. And by the way, if you do see Ryanair on a schedule, would you really fly them anyway? I'm not sure.
Anne and I would, but you wouldn't.
Yeah, you wouldn't. We would. I've flown them twice recently. Twice to Madrid.
You need to go on that flight with managed expectation. But don't worry, Ash. I'm sure I have a story on my list that will excite you later.
Anytime I see $19 fares, Rian, I'm always nervous.
Indeed. Interesting announcement between a company called Cellpoint Digital, I don't really know, and Sabre. I can't, from the release, quite figure out, and I'm hoping, Anne, you're going to help me out here, whether this is more to do with the airline hosting and distribution side than the actual agency side, although it does seem to me like there is a benefit. This whole press announcement is about facilitating payments. Do you know any more about this, or can you tell us any more, or am I putting you on the spot there, Anne?
I know a little bit more, yes. I have a very, very good impression of Cellpoint Digital. I think they are absolutely phenomenal when I've been in contact with them. I think it's really clever of Sabre. I think this is a great partnership. To me, like I said, Cellpoint really strike me as innovative, forward-thinking, and that's something that Sabre for sure needs.
And then just with regards to the current trends in the market, there was an interesting post by Daniel Boyle. He was trying to summarize some of the impacts the current fluctuating policies that the US is, executing around tariffs and other types of policies going on. There was mentions of Ryanair facing delays with upcoming Boeing deliveries, and also Delta Airlines talking about the fact that they might defer Airbus orders rather than absorb the tariffs. So those are obviously interesting side effects we are noticing. There's also an interesting, he puts it a standoff brewing between manufacturers versus airlines about who should pay for the tariffs. And of course, he talks about the fact that there is a long-term consumer impact. It's hard to keep up because there's so much happening, but I thought that post was okay. I don't know whether you wanted to add anything to that.
I thought it was a very good summary. Something I saw fleetingly, but I think I've seen somewhere that Delta have said that they will not pay the tariffs. That's the latest I've seen in this exchange. I mean, that's going to be very interesting.
Any thoughts, Ash?
plenty of thoughts. I don't know how many of those I want to share today. If the manufacturers were doing such a superb job of delivering planes to airlines, we wouldn't have had half the problems that we have today because they would have delivered the planes. And we know, we've been talking about it on the show, that for years, manufacturers have not been able to keep up with the demand of the airlines. And there's been delays and delays and delays. So that's one part of the news, right? So before Delta starts making their comments, I think they should also accept the fact that the responsibility also falls on the hands of the manufacturers who have not been delivering as per expectations or as promised. The nice thing about the tariff process that's been created here is that it is truly based on situations. And I think that Ed, the CEO of Delta, knows full well that he can pick up the phone and set up a call where he can get waivers on aircrafts because, of course, new aircrafts are definitely needed in North America and I'm sure all around the world. And therefore, there are exceptions to tariff. With those two things, I think they can solve this problem, and it doesn't need to be a big hoopla, if you will, because it's definitely logical and reasonable.
Let's hope he's got the right phone number to call there to sort that out, because
I'm sure he does.
It should do.
I'm sure he does. So, Ed's got all the phone numbers.
Cool.
Yeah.
So listen, let's just take a moment to thank the audience again. It's Easter Monday and the room is packed. So thank you very much for giving us the time. If you are new to the event, the original purpose here is to link as many of us as possible. So if you are willing to put your name on the screen, why don't you tell us where you're listening from? We'll put your name up and see if others will send you some connection requests. That's really our purpose. And Ash, you've got a fellow never Ryanair guy with Andy, so you guys can go to your events on Delta or whoever, and Andy and I will fly Ryanair. But there we go. But again, please feel free to shout out where you're listening to us from, and we'll put your name on the screen there and see if others will also connect to you. So again, thank you. Back to the list of stories, we've got quite a few more. We need to find one that's going to excite Ash, which is, scraping the bottom of the barrel here today. It looks like it, but let's see. Very interesting news. I know you are very excited about this one, Anne, which is about Revolut now having received full approval from the Reserve Bank of India to operate their prepayment services all over India. Obviously, this is a huge market for them to tap into. Very nice development. And so why don't you tell us what you think, Anne?
I think this is the biggest news in weeks. It's just really, this is massive. I told you that when I went to the actuary conference in Madrid, the most impressive presentation, apart from my own, of course, was the Revolut one. They impressed me so much. They must have the most amazing strategy. They tap into so much. There is banking, there's the card, there's the wallet. It's just absolutely brilliant what I see coming out of Revolut.
Any thoughts, Ash?
Totally agree with Anne, and I definitely know about the market, and the market is definitely an advanced market. As you all know, I mentioned this when I came back from my trip to India. The Indian market is totally digitalized, down to the guy who's selling a sugarcane juice in the corner of the road. He's receiving digital payments on his cell phone. You see a market that's ripe for a huge boom like that, and anybody who goes into that market with digital payments in mind will definitely be very, very successful.
Another story that came up is the fact, and this is again, where is my only now music? But American Airlines is announcing that they will offer free in-flight Wi-Fi to their frequent flyers starting in 2026. So, Ash, I'm going to come to you. Why only now? I mean, so you up until now you couldn't get Wi-Fi, or you couldn't get free Wi-Fi?
So American has been with about 2 or 3 different providers. And here I see them going to a third provider or fourth provider at this point, AT&T. I'm not really sure what they're doing with AT&T. The whole world is moving towards Starlink. Why wouldn't you take that step? So this is a very strange situation to me. I'm kind of disappointed because I fly American so much. I was hoping that the day of me being able to use Starlink on a flight would be there. But as per usual, I'll just turn off the internet and just enjoy something else like a movie.
So I know how to get Ash on a Ryanair flight now. We just need to get them connected to Starlink, right? And Ash will be there.
Get me in a Blue Origin flight. Now we'll be talking.
There we go. Very interesting from Ryanair that they are saying, this is Michael O'Leary saying that they might be considering the Chinese Comac C919 jet as a, replacement for the Boeings that they are waiting for. So, of course, a lot of people are saying this is just, sales talk. He's just trying to make Boeing aware that there are potential alternatives. To be fair, though, I did see that the Comac C919 is now certified in Vietnam. It's going to fly for Vietjet. And I believe that China is also now placing orders for the wide-body version of the Comac. So, it might just be talk, but, that is an option and it's out there. Legislation just to get this through and, all that stuff, it's going to take ages. But I don't know, Anne, what do you think? He's just rattling the cage a bit there, right?
Oh, he's always rattling the cage. Supposedly, he also must have the right phone numbers, right? That's what I assume, since he represents the largest airline in Europe with 200 million passengers. It's a lot. It's interesting. Of course, this is golden. This is pure gold for Comac, isn't it?
Of course.
So
yes.
it will be very interesting to follow this.
Another story that was interesting was the results of United Airlines. They've posted record Q1 2025 revenue of $13.2 billion, just phenomenal results. They are adjusting slightly. They've reduced their domestic flight capacity by 4% to meet the current market conditions. Great results there. I didn't go through the finer details, and it's always nice to hear these stories, especially from United, right?
I think that they are really focused and they know what they're doing.
Well, the only thing I was going to say is that, reduction of capacity is totally related to how people are traveling less than they used to. And that's just simply because the hype of the pandemic and post-pandemic travel is starting to normalize back to pre-pandemic days.
And then something that I spotted and actually talked about at length. This was quite a lengthy discussion. So I'm first of all going to be upfront and say, if you are watching us today and you can see the graphics there where we present, some graphics about the story, I'm being a bit biased with my graphic because I've got a confusing, complex graphic on the one side and then the LATAM Airways. So I fully acknowledge that my view here is coming across as biased, but LATAM Airways have announced their latest GDS distribution fee model. It's complex. And so subsequent to that, a lot of posts have attracted a lot of discussion about the fact that there's two sides to view this. It's either praising LATAM Airlines for being so transparent about a potential complexity that comes through from the GDS side. If it is down to the GDS model being complex, then, these guys are just not sorting things out and moving forward. This is holding the industry back for sure. I know, Anne, you and I exchanged a few messages about this as well. And I know we both commented on the stories quite a bit. There was lots of discussion here. I know you're in agreement with me. This is complex, right?
This is absolutely horrendous to me. And I'm a firm believer of simple cells. This is as far from simple cells as you can possibly ever get.
Absolutely.
What's pretty interesting is that it also confirms what I've been saying for years now. And that is that, of course, the NDC solutions provided by the GDSs will at some point cost exactly the same than the GDS or be actually equal to the GDS cost. From what we can see from this sort of transparent offsetting of airline distribution fees is that is the confirmation of that.
So are we going to end up where we started?
Kind of are, aren't we? Yes. I mean, it is the full circle, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very interesting to sort of watch how it all plays out.
You know full well that NDC has nothing to do with NDC. It has everything to do with cost of distribution. This is not a new thing for us on this call. We talked about it for years, and it's not going to change anytime soon because as long as there are airlines, as long as there are GDSs, you're going to have this kind of disturbance in the marketplace. There are ways to solve this problem permanently. The question is, are we willing to do it?
Okay, extra stories. I actually have a quick mention. This was very interesting to me. There was news that the new airport at Istanbul, IGA, Istanbul Airport, became the first airport in Europe to successfully implement triple runway operations. So all three runways at the airport could operate at the same time. So, congratulations to them. That's really nice to see. That's my little extra story. And do you have an extra story?
I do, and it's also about Turkey. Well, it's about Turkish Airlines.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll add the extra story to the post afterwards. It's about Turkish Airlines that have introduced TKPay and working together with Turkish Bank on wallets, any type of improving digital payment. Go Turkish Airlines. They really are.
Absolutely. I just think they need somebody in their marketing department to come up with something better than TKPay.
Yes, they do. Yes, yes.
Ash, any extra stories from your side?
I have two quick mentions. Indigo and Accor have partnered with their mileage programs. So now you can fly Indigo and use those miles to book Accor hotels. and you can stay at Accor and use those miles to fly on Indigo. So that's great news. And speaking of Accor is expanding into the Americas. That's something we've been waiting for quite a while. They're going to add 17 hotels and about 3,000 rooms in the US market. So that's big kudos to them. And then the second thing I want to mention real quick is that Real ID is coming up very quick here in the US market. In 2 weeks, it'll be in full deployment at all the airports. So if you don't have a Real ID driver's license, you have to go in with your passport or you'll be denied boarding. Of course, every location will have slightly different rules in the beginning just to accommodate the locals in that market. I promise you, there will be travelers who will be calling your travel managers, who will be calling the TMCs and travel agencies. You never told me about Real ID. I have a passenger at the airport, cannot board the flight. So be prepared. Let everybody know about it. You can't tell enough people about Real ID. And it's been delayed for 3 years, by the way, and it's finally going to happen in 2 weeks.
Okay, cool. Unlike the European Union and their sort of global entry scheme, it keeps being postponed, right? So yes, at least something's going to happen there. That's cool. I think those are the stories from the week, right? That's a wrap for Easter Monday. So again, for those joining us today, thank you so much for giving us your time. We do appreciate this. We do this weekly. Anne and Ash, thank you for joining and giving us your inputs, for the comments. Pam, nice to see you. Ian Marsh, all the others. Thank you so much. Andy as well. Over to you, Anne.
Thanks, everyone. Especially a big thank you for your comments. And it was great to see Pam here. Over to you, Ash.
Thank you all for joining today's live recording of Linking the Travel Industry. We record this podcast live every week on Monday, and we ask that you share this event with others that you know. Chances are high that if you enjoyed today's session, others that you know will as well. If you ever miss a show because of time zone or availability, we make the podcast available on businesstravel360.com. This is Linking the Travel Industry, signing off.